Hash. Section A, Part 1, Answers and Explanations. 1. When did political geography begin? Political geography formally started in the late 19th century as scholars studied the relationship between geography, politics, and state power. 2. Who is called the father of geopolitics? Friedrich Ratzel, a German geographer, is called the father of geopolitics for his work on the connection between geography and state behavior. 3. Who first used the term geopolitik? The term geopolitik was first used by Rudolf Kellen, a Swedish political scientist, in the early 20th century. 4. Who compared the state to a living being? Friedrich Ratzel compared the state to a living organism, emphasizing that states grow, expand, and compete for survival like living beings. 5. Give an example of an arbitrary state. An arbitrary state is one with borders that don't align with natural or cultural divisions. Example, Sudan, where borders were drawn without considering ethnic divisions. 6. Give an example of forward capital. A forward capital is a capital city established in a strategic location to promote development or strengthen control. Example, Islamabad in Pakistan. 7. Who first used the term ecumen in political geography? The term ecumene, meaning the inhabited or livable part of the earth, was introduced by ancient Greek geographers. 8. What is the basis for delimitation of territorial seas? The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, sets the basis for delimiting territorial seas, typically extending 12 nautical miles from a state's coast. 9. What is the full form of APEC? Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation is the full form of APEC, an economic forum to promote trade and investment in the Asia-Pacific region. 10. Where is the SAARC Secretariat located? The SAAR Secretariat is located in Kathmandu, Nepal. This concludes Part 1. Let me know when you're ready for the next part. Enter Section B, Part 2, Answers and Explanations. 1. Describe the approaches of political geography. Political geography uses different approaches to study the relationship between geography and politics. Regional approach examines political processes in specific regions or countries. Functional approach studies how geography influences political functions like governance or elections. Theoretical approach focuses on models and theories like heartland or rimland theories. Environmental determinism highlights how natural features like mountains or rivers impact political borders. 2. Describe the administrative structure of a state. The administrative structure of a state is the system by which it governs its population. Central government handles national matters like defense, foreign policy, and currency. Regional state government manages regional issues like health, education, and local infrastructure. Local government governs at the grassroots level, including municipalities, towns, and villages, focusing on community welfare and local services. 3. What is meant by an organic state? The organic state theory compares a state to a living organism. It suggests that states grow, expand, and change based on their needs for resources, power, and survival. This concept was proposed by Friedrich Ratzel, emphasizing that states must grow, expand territory, or perish. 4. Describe the characteristics of a core area. A core area is the most developed and politically significant part of a country. Characteristics: economic hub. It has industries, trade centers, and infrastructure. Political control, often the seat of government or capital city. High population density. The majority of the population resides in or around the core. Example, the Gangetic Plain in India. 5. What is a buffer state? A buffer state is a smaller country situated between two larger, more powerful countries to reduce the risk of conflict. Example, Afghanistan acted as a buffer between the British Empire, India, and the Russian Empire during the 19th century. 6. Mention the difference between nation and state. Nation, a group of people sharing common culture, language, and identity, e.g., Kurds. State, a political entity with defined borders, a government, and sovereignty, e.g., France. A nation may exist without a state, stateless nations like the Kurds. 7. Discuss the importance of the capital. Administrative center, houses the government and key institutions. Symbol of unity, represents the nation's identity. Economic hub, often a center for trade, business, and international relations. Example, Washington, D.C. in the USA combines administration and symbolic importance. 8. What are the specialized agencies of the United Nations? Specialized UN agencies work in specific areas to improve global cooperation. WHO, World Health Organization, focuses on global health. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, promotes education and heritage preservation. FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, addresses food security. International Monetary Fund provides financial aid and monitors economic stability. This concludes Part 2. Let me know when you're ready for Part 3. Section C, Part 3, Answers and Explanations. 1. Describe the nature of political geography. Political geography studies how geography influences politics, governance, and international relations. Nature focuses on spatial organization of political entities like states, borders, and regions. Examines relationships between physical features, mountains, rivers, and political decisions. Studies geopolitical strategies such as resource allocation and territorial disputes. Example, how rivers like the Ganges affect political cooperation in South Asia. 2. Explain the importance of the geopolitical location of Bangladesh. Bangladesh's geopolitical location is crucial for several reasons. Strategic position, located between South and Southeast Asia, connecting India, China, and ASEAN countries. Trade and connectivity. Proximity to the Bay of Bengal provides access to major maritime routes. Buffer state, acts as a buffer between India and China. Natural resources, rich in rivers and fertile land, supporting agriculture and trade. Regional diplomacy plays a vital role in SAARC and BIMSTEC initiatives. 3. Analyze Spikeman's Rimland theory. Nicholas Spikeman proposed the Rimland theory as a counter to Mackinder's Heartland theory. Key idea, he who controls the Rimland rules Eurasia. Rimland, coastal areas surrounding Eurasia, including Western Europe, the Middle East, South Asia, and East Asia. Significance. Spikeman argued that the Rimland, with its population, resources, and access to seas, is more critical for global dominance than the Heartland. Example, the USA's control of Rimland regions, e.g. alliances in Europe and Asia, during the Cold War exemplifies this theory. Number 4. What is meant by local government? Discuss the structure of local government in Bangladesh. Local government, the administrative body responsible for governing a smaller local area like a town or village. Structure in Bangladesh, Union Parishad, the smallest administrative unit handling rural areas. Upazila Parishad, manages sub-district levels, overseeing union parishads. Municipalities, Parashavas, manage urban areas. City corporations, handle governance in major cities like Dhaka and Chittagong. Functions, local infrastructure development, education, health services, and public welfare. 5. Discuss the Rohingya refugee problem in Bangladesh. Background. The Rohingya are an ethnic Muslim minority from Myanmar, fleeing persecution. In 2017, a military crackdown in Myanmar forced over 700,000 Rohingyas to seek refuge in Bangladesh. Challenges for Bangladesh. Overpopulation. Hosting over 1 million refugees in Cox's Bazar strains resources. Economic impact. Increased pressure on infrastructure, health, and education. Environmental damage. Deforestation and pollution in refugee camps. International role. Bangladesh urges global powers and the UN to press Myanmar for safe repatriation. Nasher Section C, Part 4, Answers and Explanations. 1. Evaluate the role of SAARC in socioeconomic development in South Asia. What is SAARC? SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, was established in 1985 to promote regional cooperation among South Asian countries. Key roles in socioeconomic development. Trade and economy. Initiated the South Asian Free Trade Area, SAFTA, to promote duty-free trade. Poverty reduction. Programs focusing on agriculture, rural development, and healthcare. Education and culture. Scholarships, cultural exchanges, and science programs. Challenges. Political conflicts, e.g. India-Pakistan tensions, hinder cooperation. Trade remains below potential. Assessment. While SAARC has set a foundation for collaboration, its success is limited by regional mistrust and lack of commitment. 2. Describe the forms, purposes, and principles of the United Nations. Forms. The UN has 6 main organs. General Assembly, a forum for all member states to discuss global issues. Security Council, handles peace and security, has 5 permanent members with veto power. International Court of Justice, settles legal disputes between states. Economic and Social Council, SECOSOC, focuses on development and sustainability. Secretariat, oversees administrative functions. Trusteeship Council, currently inactive. Purposes: maintain international peace and security, promote sustainable development, uphold human rights and humanitarian aid. Principles: sovereign equality of all members, non-interference in domestic affairs, peaceful resolution of disputes. 3. Analyze the causes of the recent refugee crisis in Europe. Definition of refugees. Refugees are people forced to flee their countries due to war, persecution, or natural disasters. Causes of the European refugee crisis. Conflict. Wars in Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq displaced millions. Economic instability. Poverty in parts of Africa led to migration. Environmental factors. Climate change and disasters pushed people to seek safety. Political unrest. Dictatorships and repression in countries like Sudan. Impact on Europe. Strains on public services in host countries. Rise of anti-immigrant sentiment and political polarization. 4. What are international boundaries? Discuss the types with examples. Definition. International boundaries are the defined borders between 2 countries, marked physically or politically. Types. Natural boundaries, based on physical features, e.g. Himalayas between India and China. Geometric boundaries, straight lines or arcs drawn by humans, e.g. US-Canada border. Cultural boundaries, divisions based on cultural differences, e.g. language, religion. Political boundaries, created by treaties or agreements, e.g. Durand Line between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Superimposed boundaries, drawn by external powers, ignoring local cultures, e.g. African colonial borders. 5. Identify the UN's failures in establishing peace in the context of recent events. Key failures: Syrian civil war, inability to prevent large-scale violence and displacement despite peace talks. Myanmar's Rohingya crisis, failed to stop persecution or ensure safe repatriation. Ukraine war, the Security Council was paralyzed due to the veto power of Russia, a permanent member. Yemen conflict, UN peace efforts haven't ended the humanitarian crisis. Reasons for failure: reliance on consensus among powerful nations, lack of enforcement mechanisms for decisions, overlap of political interests with humanitarian needs. Let me know if you'd like further clarification or deeper insights.